Welcome to the Nerdy Cool Dad podcast. I honestly don't know what episode it is today. I want to say 37, but I can't remember. It'll be in the title, so you figure it out. I think it's May 20th. Again, I'm not 100% sure, so you might want to check your computer or phone calendar on that one. I haven't had an episode in a few days. Just been busy with the long weekend, and yesterday I had to get caught up with a bunch of stuff at work, and I was just exhausted, so I just didn't have the motivation. But here I am today. It's Wednesday, and it's fucking beautiful outside, at least in southern Ontario. I don't know where you're viewing from, but the proper spring weather's finally here. We're done with all that shitty snow we were getting, and we can start enjoying life a little bit more, so that's nice. Over the weekend we had the May 2-4, and a lot of people, I'm actually really surprised. Everyone that I know of seemed super responsible over the weekend. Didn't take it as an opportunity to go and be crazy or go to a party or something like that. Neither was anyone hosting parties, so that's really good to see. I think, in my perspective, probably a couple more weeks of this. Once we get into June, I can't see people refraining from having small get-togethers or going camping, something like that, going to a cottage. But, at the same time, we still got to be responsible. So, we'll see. Definitely by July, I think we'll be good. Not to resume business as usual, but I think we'll go to that next step. And we'll see how things pan out. Got me a camping trip in July, so I'm pretty stoked for that, and I really hope, a lot of these restrictions are lifted and we can get into small groups, less than 50, and do our thing, But yeah, that's great to see, and I'm happy with humanity, at least, except for those weirdos at those anti-COVID or lockdown rallies, and a bunch of nutbags. I mean, it's funny, it's entertainment value to see these people in whatever the hell kind of bullshit they're spewing, but at the same time, I feel partially responsible because I'm talking about it. Other news outlets are showing an insight into this. I feel like, much with some of the stupid shit Trump says, I feel like if no one watched, it'd be less of an issue, and they could just be their crazy selves, and eventually they'll realize they have no audience, and who the fuck cares? But I don't know. It is what it is, right? Moving into this is totally random. Things pop up on your social media feed, and you can't help but be curious sometimes. So this thing came up where it said Snoop Dogg was in a feud with this guy named Tekashi 6ix9ine. Where the fuck that is, I have no idea. The guy looks like a moron. He actually reminds me of, look him up, Tekashi 6ix9ine. He spells 6ix9ine, I think, with a 6ix and a 9ine. I don't know. He looks like an 80s Batman villain's posse member. Like, someone that would pop out and they'd be like dancing in the street with a pair of nunchucks and like a black light going on. That's what he looks like. A total fuck goof. But I don't know. Apparently the feud has something to do with him being a snitch and snitching on Suge Knight. I don't know. I can't make this stuff up, but we all know that snitches get stitches, right? So that's, if we've learned anything from the rap game over the years, that's one of them. Maybe mob movies too. But anyways, moving on to more relevant news. I finally got around to watching the most recent interview on Joe Rogan's podcast with Elon Musk. So he's been on before, he came on again, and Elon's a super smart guy, super interesting, kind of dull. I mean, he's not like your regular everyday guy, right? He's like, it's like he's half computer sort of thing, right? But it was nice to see his perspective on things. And one thing that came up, and you've likely seen this in the news as well, is he's selling like pretty much all of his properties except for one. What the hell's the guy? Gene Wilder's. He's keeping that house because apparently he's like never touched anything, and it's like super bizarre. Otherwise, He's selling all his properties and wants to focus on his goals of getting to Mars. And one thing he said, it was interesting, but at the same time, I have zero pity. There's a stigma around the word billionaire, or being a billionaire. The second you're a billionaire, it's like, well, you got this, that, and the other. Everything's handed to you, blah, blah, blah. And no one takes you as serious as they might have. So he's trying to break that stigma. I mean, it's not like Elon Musk, as far as I'm aware, he's not like a self-made man or anything. He came from a upbringing that he had money growing up and that sort of thing, gave him a lot of opportunity. He's making the most of it. So I can't fault the guy. It is what it is, right? But I don't know. Billionaires having a bad rep? Most billionaires you see up there I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm not going to comment on it because, I mean, you have no idea what people are really like when you see them away from the camera or away from the press and all that. So, but yeah, he mentioned something that was super interesting to me personally. He said that too many smart people these days are becoming lawyers and doctors, and not enough people are building things. And I can't agree more. It all kind of brings you down back to the whole education system, in my opinion at least, that I've never really been a big fan of, and you don't realize the issues that exist until you you get a little older, a little wiser, and you can reflect on the past. So let's take high school for example. At a very young age, you're told you need to figure out what you want to do in your career, all right? And what path you want to go down. Do you want to take an academic path? Do you want to take a more remedial path? Do you want to go into a trade? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a lawyer? Do you want to be an engineer? Do you want to all these things, right? And it really fucks with people because at a young age, I mean, you see this all over. Just because you're smart doesn't mean you have a head on your shoulders, in a sense. You could be a total idiot in high school, even though you're super smart, and teachers know you're smart, or maybe they have no idea that you're smart, and you just don't apply yourself. There could be personal things going on. I mean, you're going through puberty. There's things going on. You got emotions. You got endorphins. All these things happening. It's a different place. Maybe you're just chasing too much tail, or who knows, right? There could be so many distractions. I mean, in my case, I played so much soccer that I had no time for a lot of any other shit anyways. So it sort of consumes you. It kept me out of trouble, so that's good. But who knows? Things could be very different if I didn't spend 5 days a week playing soccer. But that's the past. I'm sure there's a parallel universe where I'm very not athletic or something. I don't know. Who knows, right? But it's just, I just feel like you silo people into these careers way ahead of time. Like, even when I graduated university 5 years after high school, I still have no fucking idea what the hell I want to do with my life. Early 20s, like, yep, you should know what you're doing. You're going to be this, that, or the other. Even university, for me, I went into marketing because I like public speaking, as I display here every time I do a podcast. I'm a creative guy, that sort of thing. I like following trends and what have you. But in university, when you decide to take something like a marketing approach, there's really no clear-cut path. They don't teach you the things you need to know. You got to figure that out for yourself. And by the time you graduate, it's not that clear. Getting a marketing job is not easy at a school at all. Like, it's almost impossible unless you thought you saw a marketing job and it's just going to a store doing a demo with some shitty product 4 hours to 8 hours. Don't get me into that. I mean, anyone who's worked on one of those jobs will know that you usually show up an hour late and leave an hour early, and you're bored as shit the entire time. So yeah, we've all been there, done that. But I mean, my options when I graduated was like start my own company, or take a sales job, or go back to school. That was pretty much it. Figure out your path, and it took me a while. And I graduated in 2010. I didn't really figure out what I wanted to do until about 2016. And I did a bunch of stuff in between, which was all useful. You got to build up your knowledge base and understand what the real world's like. but didn't make it any easier. There was a lot of ups and downs, and I'm still not 100% where I want to be, but I'm pretty happy right now, so that helps. But yeah, it's scary, and it just kind of, back to Elon's point, not enough people are building things that are super smart, is because they keep saying, oh, you're a smart person, you have to be a doctor and change the world, or you gotta be a lawyer. Like, I don't know, seem like pretty dull jobs, not necessarily doctors. I mean, doctor is such a general term, right? Like, I could never be a general practitioner. That would drive me crazy, listening to everyone's ailments all day. Being a surgeon would be pretty cool. I think being a specialist would be super interesting as well. But yeah, there's so many opportunities there, and either way, I think people need to be a little bit more innovative. Maybe the curriculum's to blame for that, because it's pretty dry. It's not allowing you to be too creative. It's very cut and dry. This is how you do things, and we'll mark you based on that criteria. There's not a lot of room for creativity there, but who am I to say? I'm just the guy with the podcast, all right? Last thing I want to discuss real quick here is wave 2 of COVID. So I don't know. I don't trust this source at all, like The Independent. They spout some pretty stupid shit. And one thing yesterday, and people don't know any better. You don't know what's in good news, what's bad news, what's fake, who's got what agenda. So I think your best bet is not to trust anyone and see how things unfold, really. But there's claims that China's starting to get wave 2 of COVID. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't really know. Anyone that's kind of like the early on risk factors here are countries that had coronavirus way before anyone else did, should be seeing a second wave. Also, it depends, I suppose, what side of the hemisphere you're on, or the southern hemisphere going into winter, maybe they're more susceptible to continued second waves, where in the northern hemisphere up here, we're waiting until the fall really for a second wave. But I don't know if it's bullshit. I don't know if people are just trying to fuck with people in general, if it's clickbait. You gotta understand, news companies don't make money by displaying the news. They make money by displaying advertising. And they're not going to get advertising dollars or click-throughs if they don't have something really enticing for you to actually click on. So keep that in mind, and don't just, don't take everything too seriously right now. Let's wait for the proper government officials or organizations to let us know what's actually going on, and we'll go from there. But I don't know. It's an interesting time right now, that's for sure. So. There's plenty of opinions on the subject, but we can't let it terrify us. I think we understand what we need to do and what it takes, and if there's additional outbreaks, maybe it's because of certain overly social activity, like putting your kid back into daycare is probably a bad idea, unless it's something you don't have a choice, and I completely understand that. For an employer to say, all right, it's back to work now, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do with my kid? Like, you're gonna have to work from home, even if you bring your kid to a daycare or something like that, just to get some time to yourself to be able to do your work. But employers can't, unless it's something you physically do need to be there for your job. That's a different story. But anyone who works an office job but can do it remotely, there's no way a company at this point in time can say, you have to come into the office, especially if you've got kids and are at risk or anything like that. So what I'm getting at really is, use some common sense. Do what you need to do to get through this, and don't go to a bar maybe the night it opens. Stuff like that. Even the experiment they kind of had in Quebec with the schools, like, it was so stupid. It seemed more like prison than schools. But at the same time, people gotta work. They gotta do what you gotta do. So, anyways, that's my show for today. And don't forget to subscribe and like, and tell all your friends about old John. All right, thanks.